What's up, guys? Welcome in for is today Tuesday? Today is Tuesday. The post Monday celebration. Yeah. Ready to rock and roll, baby. We got a lot to get to today. It's going to be a fun show. We have elections. Did you know early voting started in some states? We'll talk about some of those early numbers coming up on the program. Also, Mark Mix, National Right to Work Committee. He'll be joining us. We've had him on many times here on the show. Oh, man, I messed up. I didn't get the opportunity to change up my... Okay, so we're changing some of the streaming options for video, where I ended up purchasing a program to where we can actually stream on a lot more places. So that's going to start here in the next day or two. And I forgot to get it set up today. I was just too busy. Didn't get a chance to do it, so we'll do that tomorrow. No worries. As we mentioned, Mark Mix coming on the show today.
2 minutes till broadcast.
Looking forward to that. Also, tomorrow, I just got word not a couple minutes ago from a source that House Minority Whip Scalise from Washington, D.C., he'll be coming on the program tomorrow. And we got that confirmed, so looking forward to that chat. That'll be a great one. That will be fun. I'm excited for that interview. We'll talk more about that coming up on the program here in just a little bit. So we have that. We have early voting. We have a lot of stuff. Yeah, this will be fun. We'll see what happens today. What's up, guys? What's going on? Getting everything up and going here. We have not been on... I don't think we've been on Facebook the last couple of days with OpsLens. We're still on their app and their website, but they've been having trouble with Facebook because it's been all glitchy and sketchy, so they have not posted on there, but we are. If you do like to use the OpsLens, we have their website
1 minute till broadcast
at opslens.com. Also, download their app. You can do that. Also, we are on another website as well, thenextgenusa.com, and we stream live there. I will get our Facebook page up and running again here soon. And one of what we will start streaming directly from our Voice of Reason pages, along with theirs, so we're just going to be all over the place. Just to let you know, as an FYI.
30 seconds till broadcast.
Already? Whatever will we do? All right, guys, like it out, share it out. Let's have some fun. Break those social media algorithms because they hate us. And I still get YouTube comments every day about, you've been deleted for misinformation. So we like to poke the bear and have some fun with YouTube. Let's do this thing.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
You as the individual, you have the power. You don't have to join a union. You go in as an entry-level position. You get the experience that you need. And then as you work up, you get better at your job, which means they pay you more. If they don't pay you more, then you go to another company to show what you've learned and what your value is to where you can get more. If they really don't like that, then you can go and start your own damn business because we have a free market, laissez-faire, capitalist society, allegedly, to where you can actually go off and do your own thing.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh my gosh, what a Tuesday it's been. The post-Monday celebration, the greatest day of the entire week. Yes, we are the eternal optimists on this program. Yes, we are excited because it is a Tuesday, and welcome into the show. It is absolutely wonderful to have you along for the ride today. What up? How you doing? Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. We are all over the country, radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. However you may be watching or listening to the program, we love you to death and appreciate you very, very much. Your millennial general reporting for duty like we do every single day. Bottom of the hour, Mark Mix. We've had him on the program many times before. National Right to Work Committee. We'll talk about some economic issues, representation of small business here in the nation. Also, I'm going to pick his brain on the latest potential walkout from the railroads and the railroad unions that could completely cease transportation and distribution of goods across this nation, completely cease our economic activity if that happens coming up in November. So I'll pick his brain on that one along with some of the other issues that he's been working on as well. We have that to get to. We have early voting that has kicked off in some states. We'll talk about that here in just a second. I believe here in Kansas where I'm at, I think it starts tomorrow. The last day of voter registration is today in Kansas, and early voting starts tomorrow. Other states already have their early voting that began today. We'll run down some of those numbers because numbers are already out, and it looks like this is going to be, as Donald Trump says, huge. It's going to be bigly. It's going to be one where we should really pay attention to make sure that we show up to vote and we are engaged as much as humanly possible, because this will be a repeat of some of the latest record-breaking voter turnouts that we've seen over the last few years. So we'll get into all that here and more in just a second. First off, though, our favorite segment that we do on this program.
Let's go into the Biden basement.
Haven't done one of those in a while, but we have some new great audio clips of the man himself, the leader of the free world, the great trend setter for the Democrat platform, Mr. Joe Biden.
I married up. I was one of those guys that my whole life I've been surrounded by women who've taken care of me. Maybe they're smarter than I am. My younger sister used to be 3 years younger than me. Now she's 23 years younger.
Wow. Cool. Now you know the latest from the Joe Biden basement.
Let's go into the Biden basement.
Remember, this is the leader of the free world here. She was 3 years younger. Now she's 23 years younger. Okay. To be fair, was that supposed to be like a knock on, or at least some type of a nice gesture of like an age thing? Was that what that was for? I'll try to give him credit for that. It came out horribly wrong. She was 3 years younger. Now she's 23 years younger. Okay. I will try to use that as an age thing for the woman to, not feel old and that sort. Okay. I will go along with that. But can we explain this one?
I taught my boys to ski here. I taught my family to ski here. And by the way, as you all know, especially for us Easterners, we talk about that at dinner. No, I'm serious.
I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. Now, he's on the campaign trail trying to bounce around to different states. The first one, I have no clue who he was at, talking about his younger sister. The second one, he was in Colorado trying to campaign out there. He's on the campaign trail, which means he's dosed up on a heck of a lot of steroids right now, a heck of a lot of whatever it is to keep him going. He's dousing the energy drinks or something to try and keep him somewhat stable to go out and talk to people day after day. I don't know why he's on the campaign trail, because just like with Hillary Clinton, he has better approval ratings when he's hiding in his basement. It does not say a word. When he's not in the public limelight, then people like him a lot better than when he's out saying stuff really, really stupid. I'm sure that his campaign and his administration believes the same way as well. On the other hand, you got Karine Jean-Pierre that is out there saying stuff that's really stupid as well, because she can't think for herself without the binder in front of her as well. So there are a lot of Democrats nationwide that are starting to distance themselves from the Biden administration. They really are. They don't want him to go campaign. They're not campaigning saying that they're really a Democrat or that they're a Biden Democrat. They're talking about their own agenda. They're talking about go. If you see Democrat yard signs, if you see them knocking on your doors, if you see them running TV ads in your state or in your community or in your city, wherever you are, for a second, I know it's difficult, it angers you, but pay attention to them. Watch them for a second. They don't mention Joe Biden. They don't mention the economy. They don't mention the things that Biden has done or that Democrats have done, because they can't run on any of those things. They only run on the fact of what they want to do with their own personal agenda. I want to create a socialist nation. I want to expand social programs for other people. I want to do this. I want to do that. They don't talk about what they've done as the majority for the last 2 years in the House and the Senate and the presidency. They haven't talked about that. They talk about what they want to do because they have nothing else to campaign on. And most of them are not mentioning the word Joe Biden. In fact, in the latest national poll that we've seen, the vast majority of Democrat candidates nationwide are distancing themselves and pretending Joe Biden doesn't even exist, which is really bad, because the president, regardless of whatever party you are, that party, that's really the leader of your party. That is the face of the party. That is the movement for the party. And right now, Republicans still have Donald Trump, even though he's not in power. But he created such a movement that's still resonating with Republican voters for the most part across the nation, which is why they like him to be the presidential candidate. The other hand is Ron DeSantis. But Ron DeSantis has been, again, a big vocal individual to stand out among the crowd for people to say, hey, I like what he's doing. Go ahead and lead the party, set the tone for the party, and let's get some stuff done. They're not doing that with Joe Biden, which is why there's a major gap. If you've noticed across your states, there's a major gap right now for Democrat candidates to really have a lot of momentum and energy, which is why Right now, the tsunami is going to be on the red side. Let's see if that comes true. Let's see if that happens. Early voting kicked off yesterday for a few different states, including the state of Georgia. And according to thehill.com, just on Monday alone, 131,318 ballots were cast in person in the state of Georgia. To put that into perspective for you, in 2018 in the midterm elections, which remember, that was a Democrat one where we flipped it because when Trump got into office in 2016, we ended up having a Republican president, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate, and we didn't get a whole lot done because we had a lot of rhino Republicans in there that were sabotaging the Trump administration. 2018 is when Republicans were angry because, well, guess what? The party didn't do what we said we were going to do with having both chambers of Congress and the presidency. So we ended up flipping in 2018 with a major record turnout in the midterm elections. Just in Georgia alone, they had 70,849 ballots cast in person on the first day of early voting. Compare that to this year, from 70,000, almost 71,000, to 131,000 early votes in the state. Now, some could say that's good because people are fired up. That could also be bad because most Republicans like to show up on the day of. So the early voting doesn't necessarily go to our favor, although we have the momentum. So I don't know what to take away from this. From my analytical mind that I enjoy with elections, I don't know how to take this one because I think that we are one showing up to vote, which is awesome. At the same time, we like to show up on election day. So the first day of early voting, beating it by roughly 50,000 votes from the last midterm election in 2018, that's concerning and encouraging all at the same time. Monday's results inch closer to the 136,000 ballots cast on the first day of voting in 2020 in the presidential election year. They were 5,000 votes away from breaking the record for a midterm and matching a presidential vote in 2020. And again, how did that turn out for the state of Georgia in 2020? I guess that's up for debate, depending on what you believe with the election fraud or lack thereof. Who knows? But that was a record turnout for the first day, and we just about matched that for the midterms this year. That's how big this election is. That's how important this election is, and this is how fired up people are. Again, I don't know many fired up Democrats, but I also sometimes in an echo chamber. We have to admit that sometimes we're in an echo chamber. Being conservative talk radio, working with the local Republican parties, working with a campaign that's with the Republican candidates, hearing and talking to Republican candidates across the states and talking to candidates all over the nation. Unfortunately, in my realm, I get stuck in an echo chamber at times. So I don't always get to hear what the other side's doing or the message coming from the other side, or at least the enthusiasm or lack thereof from the other side. So that's why I rely on you, the listener, regardless of where you are all over the country listening to this program live or delayed or through podcasts, on what you're seeing. Get out of that echo chamber for a little bit. And while I'm excited, I don't want to be over excited and overconfident because we didn't truly prepare for what the other side had in store for us. According to thehill.com as well, with the same story, they say 11,000 absentee ballots have been submitted so far this year, bringing that total number to 143,000 through yesterday as well. That's insane with how many people are voting early. And maybe Republicans are saying, you know what, I love voting on election day, but we cannot give them this head start. We cannot let them show up and see these high numbers and see how excited Democrats are to show up early and make this vote count. I need to go and start voting early as well, as much as I don't like to. I wish we could have just an election day, make it a federal holiday, shut down businesses, make everybody stay home that day, and just go and vote. Just to everybody vote on that day. But early voting continues to be extended earlier and earlier and earlier. Then you have the absentee ballots, and you have the mail-in ballots, and you have the drop boxes, and you have all these other issues that cause for concern of, even if it's not systematic voter fraud, at least it just opens up opportunity for shenanigans to be played, or at least errors to be made consciously or subconsciously in the electoral system. The state of Florida as well, moving south from Georgia. Early voting turnout so far is larger than usual for midterm elections from the University of Florida, as they say nearly 2.7 million people have already cast their ballots as of this morning ahead of the November 8th election. 2.7 million. And that was, this story was as of 2:30 this afternoon Eastern time, so 1:30 my time in Central Standard. 2.7 million as of this morning, yesterday and today, with early voting. Of this year's voting totals, more than 337,000 were cast in person, and nearly 2.35 million have been mailed in the state of Florida. Again, optimistic, encouraging. There's a lot of activism. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of people focusing on it. Or is this concerning for us because we like to vote on Election Day? I don't know. I really don't know. A total of 16.8 million mail-in ballots have been requested in the state of Florida overall. Among 26 states that have already begun early voting, Florida accounted for the highest total, with only state with at least 600,000 ballots cast already. This is insane with how many people are turning out already. I want to get your thoughts on this because while I am optimistic and I love the fact that we are turning out, is it really us turning out, or is it the Democrats that, just like the 2020, for just a second, let's step aside and let's not think about voter fraud. Let's think about it as if it was legitimate. I know there's a lot of concern there. I know there's a lot of question there. I'm not saying it was or wasn't. I'm just saying theoretically, let's set aside the concerns about voter fraud. We're seeing the trends in 2018 when Democrats took back Congress under a Trump administration, and we're seeing trends of a 2020 presidential election when they showed up in groves for early voting, and then we weren't able to match them back again on election night, and that's what caused the issues. Is that a concern for you going into Election Day again today on November 8th and with the early voting that started for many states this week? That is a cause for concern to me. When we come back, we got to take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk about the agenda because the Democrats are concerned. Have they peaked too soon with some of the polls now that early voting is in? And what agenda have they actually settled on to move forward for the last couple weeks of the election cycle? Because they didn't really have a platform. They couldn't campaign on anything, so they're kind of going back and forth between two different ideas. What are those? We'll do that when we come back here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to The Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring The Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You want some more reason throughout the day? Well, now it's easier than ever to find. Here's what you do. Check out the website at HooserReason.com. There you can find past shows, links to all of our social media, special features, our monthly blogs, and a heck of a lot more. Plus, make sure to check in frequently as we're constantly working to add more goodies that you'll really enjoy. Also, you can always subscribe and follow our social media sites for bonus content, articles that we use on the show, or maybe some additional rants. Yeah, it's all that and so much more. Check it all out at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
Bring some reason into your day. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Don Wright, welcome back into the program. We are moving through. I got some interesting questions with some of the stream comments and some of the chat rooms that we have, which you can find on OpsLens, you can find on Podbean, you can find on Facebook as well, as we stream all over the place. And it's a good question. I mean, how many of them are legit, or have they burst their bubble already? Have they let everything out and then we have to match them? I still think we're going to see a major turnout on election day, which is encouraging. But again, how many of these are maybe elderly individuals that want to go and vote? How many people are just too anxious and excited to go and vote so they can't wait until election day? How many of them are actually Democrats because they love the early voting and don't want to wait till actual election day? Historically, people that vote early, predominantly, at least majoritively for the most part across the nation, are Democrats. So if we're seeing record turnout already, then either we should be very optimistic that we have the momentum, or we're very scared because, well, we could see a major not so much go in our favor here. That's the big question. The big question that I have, and I've been asking this for the last few days now, is what is the platform for the Democrats? What are they running on? Because they don't have anything to run on. The economy's in the tank. I don't have to run through the list. You know the list. The economy's in the tank. Supply chain issues suck. Inflation sitting at 9.5%. Gas prices are still ridiculously high. Foreign policy is a disaster. Working and begging with OPEC is an absolute disaster. The border is an absolute disaster. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what you could possibly run on to say that you've done something good, except for social issues, which is what they already have with their voter base. And you got to remember, that is the voter base, the very loud, outspoken, everybody's a racist, everybody's a fascist, everybody's a whatever. The LGBTQ issue, the abortion issue, that is a built-in base that Democrats already have, and focusing on those issues only appeal to a finite amount of individuals. You can debate LGBTQ issues all you want. You can debate abortion issues all you want, unless you can't afford to live. Which is why every single poll shows the number one priority for voters right now is the economic issues. So according to Newsmax, the Biden administration, while he's out campaigning, trying to talk to different states and campaign for different individuals and say things like this.
Do you realize the bullet out of an AR-15 travels 5 times as rapidly as a bullet shot out of any other gun?
Come on, man. Yeah. So apparently that's a thing now as well. So as long as you're aware of what our fearless leader is saying here, they're now focusing finally on a platform. The Republicans came out with their commitment to America. The House of Representatives did. Kevin McCarthy. And I just sat down yesterday evening with my congressman here in the 4th District. I'll play part of that interview probably in the next day or two. And I have some big news, by the way, coming up here shortly as well. But we'll probably play part of that interview. The commitment to America is a great plan. I thought it was a little late to the game, but Democrats hadn't come out with a plan either, apparently. So we did beat them, and that is good news. It's focusing on getting our country back on track, focusing on America first, which is what we're all about. Finally, according to Newsmax.com, today, they say that the Biden administration vows on abortion legislation as their top priority for next year. So they really have two things here. They have inflation which they say they're going to, again, not what they've done as a party, but what they're going to do. We're going to lower inflation. As if it was the different party, it wasn't their policies that put us in this position in the first place. Their platform is, we're going to lower inflation. Cool. What are you going to do about it? Well, we're going to let the Federal Reserve handle it. The Federal Reserve has only raised interest rates 5 different times, so kudos on that one. And it still hasn't done a damn thing to lower inflation in this nation. But it's either inflation, because they have to address economic issues, or it's abortion, which they're saying we need a majority in the Senate, and we need a House, and we need the president to try and lock in and protect Roe after Roe v. Wade was reversed through the Supreme Court. That's what their focus is. Will that be enough? Usually I would say no. After the vote in Illinois, however, and after the vote here in Kansas on trying to protect the rights of lives of individuals, I'm a little skeptical. So maybe that is enough for them to turn out the vote and say, wow, Republicans really do hate women. We need to go and vote. They've tried that call a long time now. Will it work again this time? Maybe. Who knows?
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own Voice of Reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media. Welcome to the Hooser Media Network. It's been a long time coming, and now it's growing bigger and better than we ever imagined. The Hooser Media Network is so much more than just the Voice of Reason. It's a network for you as a listener and you as a podcaster. It's a network for any kind of talk on any kind of topic, bringing podcasters together to give you a new way to think about the world, and it's any type of show from entertainment to educational. Check out all of our great programs, like Dr. Devin Verana with If They Knew.
Yeah, and it gives you tangible tools. I mean, I'm sure she just mentioned that some people might be mad at the government. I just can't imagine.
No.
I think there's a little bit of anger in the world these days, but I was listening to Wayne Dyer this morning, and he said, if you grab an orange and you squeeze it, what comes out? Juice. What kind of juice? Orange juice every time, right? It's not going to be apple juice. It's never going to be mango juice. It's always going to be orange juice. So whatever is in us is going to come out when we're squeezed. And so I'm sure you're learning that, like, taking yourself through this process continually just adds more and more power, more and more depth of compassion and joy and freedom and all those good feeling things, because you're clearing that space out.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. Now take people, so for anybody listening out there that might have an object of anger, whether it's somebody or something or, you know, objects out in the world these days, take us into some tactical, practical things that they can do. Number one, I'm sure, is to come see you, but what are some other things?
So I skipped that one on purpose when I was going through this, but the first book that changed my life, and I listened to it before I signed up for the, I listened to her 1 hour Zoom before I signed up for the class. She was interviewing a man who told us about a book called The Four Agreements. And so then when you get into the class, we study the book called Forgive for Good by Fred Luskin. And we went through a process by Michael Brown called The Presence Process. These are all 3 books. And I hate to be this honest, but let me be this honest. You can read those 3 books and know everything I'm going to teach you. But like any good class, I mean, just because I signed up for a class in college, I buy the books. You really need someone to guide you through them.
That, plus tune into Spiritual Smorgasbord with Desiree and Cheyenne.
It is, and we talked about that because then, of course, other things started to happen after that. Of course, that was not my last doctor's visit by no means. However, we talked about it, and I thought, our ancestors were so smart. They know, whatever ails us, there's a cure for on this planet. We're just not smart enough to know how to use it, but our ancestors were. We need to get back to that. Modern medicine, basically what that is it is what you get from the plant, the healing benefit, just on steroids with side effects.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, modern medicine is considered sexy. It's fast resolving. It's instant gratification. But, and so like plant-based formula, the raw, natural plant-based formula is what is going to work. It's going to be great. It just takes a while. And people want that instant gratification.
Oh, yes.
So a lot of people try
It's been marketed
something.
to them that way too.
It
They're like,
has.
oh, that's the old way. It's going to take you forever. But if you just take this, you wake up tomorrow and you can have whatever you want.
Exactly.
You can do whatever you want.
But at what cost?
Yeah.
I mean,
my leg is broken, but have some Oxycontin.
Yes.
It's like, dude, your leg is still severely broken. You just can't feel anything.
yeah. And it's like, so let's go to nature. Let's see.
Yeah.
You know what? There's pain relievers in nature. Marijuana is a great pain reliever.
Yes.
For one. I mean, just
mentally and physically.
Yes. Well, I mean, but there's other remedies out there. And everything that ails us, there's a cure for on this planet.
This whole room smells like peppermint.
We're all getting cured.
We're all
now.
getting cured right now. It's a beautiful essential oil I bought from a local, I guess you could say apothecary shelf, but I'm getting healed right now.
Yes, exactly. It is. And it's all around us. We just need to know how to look for it. And I'm sorry, but that's kind of what we were discussing. And that kind of was what started this whole journey. And what I'm very fortunate that, my spouse and I are together on this. It's not just one of us having a spiritual journey. It's that we're doing this together.
Listen to those shows and so much more on our website, where you can find live streaming, links to the podcast, links to social media, more content, and so much more. It's all online at HooserMedia.com.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Holy cow, this day flies right on by. We never have enough time. I could do 4 hours on this program. We have so much to talk about here as we kind of wrap up the predictions going into the midterms, now that we have early voting and record early voting in Georgia and in Florida and in other places right now. Again, the question is that a good thing or a bad thing? Democrats predominantly are the ones that show up early. Republicans are predominantly the ones that show up on Election Day. And right now we're matching the numbers. We're beating the numbers from the midterms in 2018. We're almost matching the numbers from the presidential race in 2020. Is that a good sign? Or is that a bad sign? Many Democrats are concerned that they have peaked it too soon. They really peaked in the middle of the summertime after the reversal of Roe v. Wade and the push from them on abortion issues and women's rights, which is why they're making that their platform now, the best that I can see, according to some of the headlines from Newsmax. But according to The Hill as well, that Republicans still have a 49-45 lead over Democrats in generic ballot polls nationwide. So they've peaked, and Republicans still have the majority. So does that mean the massive early voter turnout is a good sign for us, or is a scary sign that the polls are completely skewed and we need to be concerned? We'll talk about more of that here in just a little bit, but excited to have this guy back on the program.
What's trending today?
We love having him on the show. He is with the National Right to Work Committee, also National Right to Work legal defense group here at Mark Mix on the line. Mark, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Andy. Good to talk with you today. Things are getting busy. Of course, they're always busy, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's always busy, but we're getting down to the wire here. Are you feeling optimistic? I mean, we're looking at these early voting numbers. Georgia yesterday had record turnout with near 131,000 in-person ballots cast. Florida's already up there as well with like 600,000. There's millions of them mailed in. There's millions of people early voting. Democrats usually lead the early voting. So is that a cause for concern, or is that optimistic for us with being really excited?
Well, I guess you can look at it two ways, and as you can most things. I mean, the good news is that people are participating, and that's what we have to do in this grand experiment of self-government. We have a responsibility to make our voice heard, and this is how we do it. Unfortunately, the way it's done now is getting to be somewhat problematic. I mean, the idea that we have an election day, and we have a day when we go cast votes, and we make provisions for those that cannot make it on election day, seem to be the standard that upheld us pretty well, so that by the time the elections were over that night and the polls closed, we had winners designated, and oftentimes there were recounts. But now we have to wait sometimes, 3, 4, 5, 10 days, in some cases months, before we know who won and who lost because of all this, the alternative ways that people are voting. I don't get optimistic. I don't get pessimistic. What I get is, look, we've got to know where the candidates stand. We've got to know what they stand for. Voting early oftentimes precludes someone learning something about a candidate, a week from now or 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now or the night before the election. Sure. That might change their behavior. So the early voting is probably primarily those people that have voted, one party or the other. They're voting because of the party as opposed to the issues. And the good news is people still make decisions about issues. And I think those are the folks that people kind of wait and see what's said, what they hear, what they learn, what the questions they ask and the answers they get. And hopefully those are the folks that will make the decision in many races, because basically, Andy, as you know, any Republican that runs in any state can probably get anywhere between 39 and 41% of the vote just because they have an R behind their name. Sure. Anybody who runs in a state with a D behind their name can probably get 43 to 45% of the vote just because they have a D behind their name. It's that group in the middle that's left that still makes the decisions, especially in races that are, that are competitive. Obviously, in California, the governor wins with 67% of the vote, no matter, because he's a D. That's all. But in most cases where there's competitive races, it's going to make a difference. And I think those people that are undecided are going to stick around till Election Day, and they're going to make their decision based on what they learn between now and then.
That is very true. I think in a positive light, as you mentioned, some of the quote-unquote October surprises that we see every once in a while, I guess it has a less of an impact because it won't really matter if people have already cast their vote. So I guess there's that.
Yeah, that's right, Andy. That's a good observation. We always hear about they're becoming more regular events during elections, that you have this October surprise, and someone who casts a vote today doesn't know what could happen in 2 weeks, as I mentioned. So I think that's a good observation.
Yeah, that is very true. From kind of trends of voting, and I know you focus on obviously a lot of economic issues, you focus on a lot of unionized issues and small business and the rights for individuals to work. Have you seen a trend at all in the change of mindset from union workers who may be part of a union to go to work every day and do their job? However, they're frustrated with the union and they vote a different way, which is why, Trump won a massive amount of union workers in that last election. Is that trend going to continue, do you think?
Yeah, I think so, Andy, because, whether you're a union man or a union woman or non-union, whatever, you still have to drive up to the gas pump. You still have to read the stories and watch the news about the border. You have to, hear the stories and read the stories about the increased size of government, the increased taxes, the increased costs that ordinary folks are having to face every day, day in and day out. And, and particularly as you make the point between the union officials on one hand versus rank-and-file workers on the other. While union officials back here in Washington and across the country in state capitals have endorsed candidates generally of one party, rank-and-file workers who are having that money used to support candidates that, in the case of Joe Biden and the XL pipeline and the energy business, put a bunch of rank-and-file union members on the unemployment line, I suspect there's growing anger and unrest about what the top union bosses are doing and what Joe Biden's doing for the top union bosses, giving them more power and not necessarily having policies that impact the rank-and-file workers that are the ones that are paying the dues and the fees and contributing to the political action committees to help union bosses give this big money to candidates who are running for office. So I think there's going to be, there should be discouragement. If there's not, I don't know what it would take for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it would take either. I think people are starting to wake up from that. For example, and I've said this so many times, you obviously fight against a lot of these unions and some of their power that they have, but there may have been a time back in the day for unions. I don't see it. I have not seen anything. I don't focus on, I guess, on every day, but I haven't seen anything in the last 20 years where a union's strike or telling workers to go out and not get a paycheck and not do their job has been actually beneficial for the business or for the economy as a whole. It seems like now they have their own special interests, which is make massive amounts of money from the union workers, donate to Democrats to get their agenda, to create more power, and then sit there in nice, cushy jobs. And that's really the purpose of a union nowadays.
Well, that is when you overlay the kind of statutory protections that they have from the federal government that give them the ability to basically force someone to pay dues or fees as a condition of getting or keeping a job. Fortunately, in 27 states, those laws have been invalidated by state action that says, we're going to pass a right to work law, so it gives workers the ability to hold union officials accountable. But in the 23 states where you can be forced to pay dues or fees or lose your job, that's exactly what happens. Andy, and you described it in kind of this vicious cycle that it is. I mean, they elect more politicians, they give them more power, that creates more money to give to more politicians, that give them more power, and it's this circular loop that occurs, and really the displaced people are ordinary citizens and, unfortunately, rank-and-file union members, where in states where they have no choice, where they have to pay dues or fees in order to keep their job, they just have to take it. And that's really not an answer. And so there's been, you indicated it, and I agree with you. There's been a place for unions there, and I say there is a place for unions, and there will be a place for unions, but there's no place for compulsion and force in that arrangement. Yeah. Unions would be inherently stronger if everyone that participated with them was gung-ho about being a member and gung-ho about what the union's doing. But there's no accountability when unions can force you to pay them for the right to work.
Yeah, that is very true. Let's focus to the state of Ohio for a second, shall we? And I grew up in Ohio. Yeah. I know that there's a lot of unions in Ohio. I know that it's a very purple state because of the unions that have their influence in the state of Ohio. But let's talk about J.D. Vance. Let's talk about that race for just a second, because obviously there's a push, and I'm sure that J.D. Vance, I don't know much about his platform other than I know we need to get him in to fight off some of this stuff. But what's the latest in the state, and are you optimistic about that race?
Yeah, well, that's a state where obviously right to work has been an issue, and unfortunately, Ohio is one of those states in the Great Lakes region. I won't call it the Rust Belt because it's not rusting anymore. New manufacturing jobs are going back to Indiana and Michigan and Wisconsin and West Virginia and Kentucky that surround Ohio, and all those states have one thing in common: they have right to work laws. And so, Ohio has been losing and bleeding automotive jobs, and unfortunately, it's a legacy that will continue as long as they continue to give the United Auto Workers and other unions power over workers in their state, because that's a problem. But the Senate race is looking pretty good, I think, for J.D. Vance. His position on our issues, we don't really know that, but we do know the position of Tim Ryan. He has voted again and again and again to force workers into unions, to force them to pay dues. He wants to repeal every right-to-work law in the country that we're in 27 states that have them. He wants to impose a card-check unionization scheme on workers that eliminates the secret ballot election, that gives union officials the power to show up on your doorstep at 10 o'clock at night, 2, 3, 4 union organizers, and say, hey, sign this card. If not, we'll bring another person to help to try to convince you, and I'm using my finger quotes, Andy, to sign these cards. I mean, the power that the union officials have desired under Biden and under previous administrations is just extraordinary, and it doesn't have anything to do with giving more power to the rank-and-file worker. It has everything to do with giving power to union officials, and that's the Ryan agenda as it comes to the Ohio Senate race. It's pretty clear. I mean, he has a clear voting record. I think he's been in the Congress for 20 years, and every vote that he's cast has been in favor of union officials, and many of those votes militate against rank-and-file union members.
That is very true. We got just about a minute before we have to take a hard break here, but the state legislature in Ohio, have they been pretty decent on this? I know overall at the statewide level, it's relatively Republican conservative-ish. Have they been good on at least workers' rights down there?
Not really. I mean, the Governor Voinovich and DeWine and Kasich have all been kind of scaredy cats when it comes to standing up for individual freedom and liberty, and that has trickled down, to use the Reagan term, has trickled down to the Republicans in the legislature as well. So there's not a whole lot of courage when it comes to questioning whether or not union officials should be able to fire workers for failure to pay dues or fees, and so there's work to do in Ohio for sure.
There's a lot of work to do in Ohio. I think DeWine might be easier to work with. I've never been a fan of Kasich. I think he was one of the worst Republican governors that we've seen in this entire nation, and thank God that he is out of that seat so we can actually maybe, just maybe, get something done here. We're talking with Mark Mix, National Right to Work Committee, also the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation. When we come back, we got to take a break here. I want to focus on what we've talked about here on this program for about a week or so, is this union with the railroads potentially halting our entire economy, halting distribution, halting production because of these unions that want to stand up even after the railroads came back and tried to offer them a vast amount of money on what their agenda is here. We'll do that when we come back. Wrapping up the show today for a post-Monday celebration here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to the Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring the Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You want some more reason throughout the day? Well, now it's easier than ever to find. Here's what you do. Check out the website at HooserReason.com. There you can find past shows, links to all of our social media, special features, our monthly blogs, and a heck of a lot more. Plus, make sure to check in frequently, as we're constantly working to add more goodies that you'll really enjoy. Also, you can always subscribe and follow our social media sites for bonus content, articles that we use on the show, or maybe some additional rants. Yeah, it's all that and so much more. Check it all out at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. As we continue to grow as a radio and TV program, we're continuously working behind the scenes to try and bring more common sense and reason to more patriotic Americans all over the country. That's why we're super excited to be working with the OpsLens team to bring you the voice of reason every single day. OpsLens is a national online network bringing you incredible content all day from hosts all over the country. And each host brings their own unique experience and expertise to the current events, reaching hundreds of thousands of patriotic Americans daily. Make sure to check out their website at opslens.com. Make sure to download the OpsLens website and follow them on all of these social media sites that you like, so you can watch all of their live streaming content, including ours right here with the Voice of Reason. Plus, if you want more of the Voice of Reason, check out our website online at HooserReason.com. There you can listen to the live audio feed of the show every single day. You can read our monthly blog. You can check out our satire infomercials. You can see pictures of what we're doing, upcoming schedule of events, and a heck of a lot more. On the website, you can find our list of radio and TV affiliates in your area. Find our social media links, and while you're there, sign up for our free newsletter. Over the last 2 years, your Voice of Reason newsletter has grown exponentially. It's completely free, and in it we give you your monthly motivation, upcoming civic holidays for the month, a recap from the show from last month, upcoming guests on the program, along with the latest news from our Hooser Media Network. It's pretty simple. All you got to do is go to the website at HooserReason.com and become the next Hooserholic. Finally, follow us on all of our social media sites. With the iron grip control on content from the radical left, unless you follow us, you're not going to be able to see us. It's been an ongoing battle with shadow banning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where even our own fans are having a hard time finding our content. But the battle isn't over. We'll continue to bring you the best content we can on as many platforms as possible. You can follow us with the handle at Hooser Reason. No matter what social media site you like to use, you can find us there. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv, Instagram, TikTok, OurFreedomBook.com, Parler, and of course our website at HooserReason.com. Don't miss it while we give you a heads up on some of the events that I may be attending or speaking at, updates of behind-the-scene projects, or just something sarcastic to try and rile up the left. The battle for freedom is real, and we want to be part of that battle, as we want you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Conservative principles happen at the grassroots level, and that's what we're here to help with. And together, you and I can fight back against this virus that's spreading across the nation that is socialist policy, trying to destroy this country. We can bring us back to some constitutional values, some individual sovereignty, and the right for you to be able to make your own choices when you deem necessary for you, your family, and your community. In a world of fake news and information overload, it's time to bring back some reason, common sense, guidance, and a little bit of wisdom. And that's what we're here to do. This is the Voice of Reason.
fighting for freedom every day. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, indeedy. Reason, common sense, rationale. That's what we're all about here on the program. Thanks for hanging out. Always a pleasure to have you along for the ride. By the way, as a little teaser of what's coming up potentially tomorrow, I am about 95% sure. It's not confirmed, but it's confirmed, if you know what I mean. Tomorrow on the program, we will be having House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, Congressman for Louisiana, on the program, as he's actually coming to the Kansas area for a political fundraiser, and we've been able to get him on the program. So we will look forward to that interview tomorrow on the show. You're not going to miss that with House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, Congressman from Louisiana's 1st Congressional District, and really excited to chat with him. There's a lot we're going to talk about as we talk about the commitment to America and getting ready for election season. That's going to be awesome, baby. That's what we do on this show. Yeah. See? So get ready for that on the program tomorrow, along with other great stuff as well. Right now, we're hanging out with the man, Mark Mix, National Right to Work Committee. You can find them on their website, also their National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation. All right, Mark, I have railed on this issue for the last week or so. This makes me so angry. Angry Andy doesn't come out of the box very often on the radio, but on this issue it does, because I have come to the vile hatred towards many unions and how they try to screw up the economy and screw up businesses with this railroad issue, where most of the unions have come on board and agreed to the compromise, the negotiation for new contracts. But there's the maintenance guys, that have not done so, potentially throwing everything into havoc. They're going to discuss this, I know, in November after Congress gets back up there again. The railroads offered a 24% salary increase and $5,000 in bonuses, of whatever those bonuses may or may not be. And the union turned it down because they want more sick days and paid time off. Now, in a world of 9% inflation rates across this nation, where people are struggling, and I'm pretty sure most people are not getting 9% raises to compensate for the 9% inflation, these guys are potentially getting a 24% salary increase, and they're turning it down. How narcissistic do you have to be to turn something down like that because you want more? Come on, man.
Well, I'm not sure about the personality disorders as they might be, but we do know this. They can exercise their power because the federal law under the Railway Labor Act gives union officials dramatic powers. In fact, Andy, as you mentioned, 6 of the 12 units now that are involved in this negotiation, I'm using my finger quotes here, have accepted the Presidential Emergency Board's recommendations after some further negotiation with the National Conference or Carriers Conference Committee, which is the employer group that's on the other side of the table. But one, to your point, the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way employees of Employee Division have rejected it. And what that means is if they don't go back and accept it, three things might happen. One, the union officials may override the vote of those workers, which is something that happens, and believe it or not, people may not believe this, but union officials have the power to do that. We have a case right now, a National Labor Relations Board case that is a Wagner private sector union case, but the Railway Labor Act and the National Labor Relations Act are very similar, and there is no obligation for union officials to accept the results of a vote by employees on the ratification of the contract. In fact, in 1996, the leaders of the United Transportation Union, now the Transportation Division of the Sheet Metal Air Rail Transportation Workers, called SMART TD, overrode the members' vote against an agreement that the union negotiators had agreed to, and they imposed it anyway. They went to arbitration, and it got imposed, even though the employees had voted against it. The rank and file workers voted against it. So what would happen if they don't accept the deal is when they come back in November, and they want it after the election because, as you point out, Andy, it would have a dramatic impact on the economy. And I will guarantee you this, while there's no, quote, sympathy strike allowed under the Railway Labor Act, where the other 11 units who may or may not approve it going forward, they would have to be back on the job. But if there is a provision that says if they feel threatened, they can walk off the job too. And I guarantee you that the 11 units that approve it, of the 12, if one doesn't approve it, there will be a system-wide strike across the board. I mean, I just believe that will happen. They won't cross a picket line, and they'll say that they're threatened if they do, and they will be able to implement the provisions in the Railway Labor Act that will shut down the entire railroad industry until they get an agreement they want. Another thing could happen is Congress could impose an arbitration. They could impose the Presidential Emergency Board recommendations on it. That would be the so-called cram down. The final solution potentially is the so-called baseball arbitration, which says your offer goes in, their offer goes in, and the arbitrator can't split the baby. He takes one or the other. So it's an interesting time, but you're right. The provisions of the agreement of the presidential, or the recommendations of the Presidential Emergency Board are pretty big, 24% compounded over the final years of a contract. I think it's a 4-year deal. So pretty good stuff.
Yeah, pretty good stuff, and it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, and it makes me angry even thinking about some of this and the power that they have to override a lot of these workers. It's Mark Mix, National Right to Work Committee. I appreciate the time, my friend. I wish we could get more into this. We'll have to get you back on again soon, but keep it the fight, my friend. Let's do it again real soon.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, always a pleasure, my friend. That does it for us today. Podcast up in just a little bit. We're back at it tomorrow here on the program. Until then, be your own voice of reason. This is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. We'll see you on the radio. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own Voice of Reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.